Hello everyone and welcome back to my craft room. This is card number 5 in my 7 cards in 7 days in the lead up to World Happiness Day on the 20th of March. Thanks for watching so far, and we're over halfway there and on the homeward stretch, so hopefully you've enjoyed the cards so far and you'll enjoy the ones I've got for you today. I've gone a little bit crazy with this card today. It uses, from guesstimate, 2 stamp sets and 3 die sets. So, yes, so it's definitely for the avid crafter. If you've got a fair bit of stuff at home like I do, I've really bought a fair bit of it out today. Most of it today, though, is the Forever Blossoms stamp set with the cherry blossom dies. That's a large part of the card today. But I also use some of the stitched shapes as well. And I also use our blends. I've got light and dark Highland Heather and light Old Olive, which I'll bring out in a minute. Okay, so let's get started. As you know, the theme of the cards that I've been doing are friendship and happiness, which are often things that go hand in hand. So this one, hopefully you'll like it. I haven't actually seen it all done yet, so it'll be a surprise for all of us when I see how it finally comes out. I know how I think it's going to look, but that's often a very different thing. Let's have a look. So I will just make sure my iPad is working. Yep, it is, and my sound's all right, and let's get crafting. Okay, so today I am using my standard white, don't want to ruin the surprise, my standard white card base, 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4, and it is scored in the middle to create a normal A6 card base. I'm also using a piece of the absolutely glorious and hopefully not forgotten, because it's in the annual catalogue and lots of great catalogues have come out since, a piece of the paper from our Good Morning Magnolia designer series paper. That's really lovely. It's got some beautiful magnolias on the other side, but I'm using this side with some lovely greens and some leaves and things there. So I've cut that 1/8 inch smaller, so that's 4 inches wide by 5 5/8 long. So you basically just get a very tiny border of white around the edge of that. I've also got a stitched, this is where all the other die sets come in. I've got a stitched rectangle from the Stitched So Sweetly die set. I've got one there. That's in actual pear pizzazz because it's a tiny bit lighter than the mossy meadow of the designer series paper, and I've got a slightly smaller one in whisper white. So they sort of match each other quite beautifully. And then I've got from the Stitched Rectangles die set. I've got 2, also in pear pizzazz, 2 lovely narrow rectangles, which I'm actually going to bring in, pretending that it's one continuous line, in behind here, like a little belt around the side. So I'll line that up properly when I'm actually getting to it. So then that's the sort of shapes and things all cut out. So to decorate that, I'll just put those aside. I'm actually using the beautiful blossoms from the Forever Blossoms, and a few of these little ones here as well. So you don't have to watch me cut things out and colour in. I have actually cut out and coloured in most of them here. So we've got the beautiful large one, and the colours, as I mentioned, are light and dark Highland Heather and the light Old Olive. I'll just bring that little bit closer to the camera so you can actually see how I've blended the light and the dark Highland Heather together there. So it's dark in the sort of centre and sort of graduating out to the light in those little flowers. So it's really a good thing. It's a wonderful thing with our blends that you can do that and get that sort of effect. So I've got one of those, and then I've got 4 of the little blossoms out of the set, the single blossoms, and as I say, I've already stamped and coloured 3 of those, and the same with the little leaves, the little double leaves. I've got 4 of those, and I've already cut and coloured 3, and I've got 2 here, a little flower and a little leaf, that I'm going to show you how I coloured those in. I'll just sit down. Okay, so we'll start with the flower, the little blossom, and here I have my dark Highland Heather. And all I basically do, if you've never seen blends used before, is just colour in the centre and a little bit out towards the edge in the dark. Okay, so right out to wherever you want the most of the dark to be. Okay, it's fairly simple. And then you bring in your light, and with very small circular motions you just fill in the rest and blend the two together, so you get a gradient rather than a straight, rather than a distinct line. So they actually blend, hence the name, they blend into each other. So I'll bring this closer to the camera so you can have a look in a minute, but basically it's just very small little circular motions between the two shades, and it merges them and blends them into one. There we go. So there we are, that one little one. Just stand up so I can see, a bit close to the camera there. There we are, just blended so that you've got the darkness in the middle and a slight gradient to lighter on the outside. Okay, so let's do our old olive, and there's nothing fancy here, I've just straight coloured in. So this is the light old olive, and because of the way the stamp is actually coloured with the dark, it actually sort of creates light and dark for you, so you don't have to worry too much about that. That's just a simple colouring job. Okay, so we've got that, we've got all our flowers coloured and cut out with the dies. Okay, so we can start putting our card together now. This is where it gets exciting. As I say, I haven't seen this one together apart from in my head. Okay, so let's pop the paper onto our card base. There we go. Like that. And then measuring, using my grid paper, I'm going to measure roughly halfway up the side. So it's about 10. So halfway is going to be around 5, around here. Around here. So I'm just going to pop both of my little circle, my little thin rectangles at the 5 centimetre mark. So one about here. As with many things in card making, it doesn't have to be exact, but just as close as you can. Sorry, I've got that positioned a little bit low in the frame, but I will move it up as soon as I've done this part. Try and make them line up as well as you can. Oh, now it's stuck to my finger. There we are. Most of that's going to be covered over by our sentiment boxes and flowers anyway. So we've got those two there. Okay, the next thing we'll do is bring in our little stitched So Sweetly rectangles. I'm just going to pop them there. I'm going to put them off to an angle. I think that's really pretty. But I'm going to stamp the sentiment first so I know where I am. This is the second stamp set I've actually used in this card, and both stamp sets, this one and the Forever Blossoms, seem to match each other so well. The blossoms and the leaves are roughly the same sort of design, and it has the buds as well, which are similar to the buds in the Forever Blossom site. So I actually really like this. Your friendship means the world to me, because that's the theme of the cards that I'm making for Happiness Day. So I've got that locked up. I'm just going to use black, and I'm just going to pop it on the little white stitched So Sweetly rectangle. it up, and I'm going to pop it sort of more towards the right hand upper corner of our little rectangle, just so I can, just forgive me if you see the top of my head, just so I can see it around all the blossoms, because I'm going to decorate it with the blossoms up around this bottom left hand corner. Okay, so we've got that. I might attach those and then glue them to the card. I just think those stitched rectangles are so sweet, just with their little sort of lacy edges. There we go. And then those. This little one, as central as you can. And there we go. Lovely. Okay, well, that's pretty nice on itself, really. It's not sort of sweet. Okay, with all those colours, how can you go wrong? Ooh. Ink on your fingers. Now we're going to add something a little bit special. So what I'm going to do is bring these blooms around, sort of hugging to the left hand side and below there, just like that. So this big one I'm just going to glue straight down, and then I'm going to use dimensionals with the other little ones, just to give it a bit of interest. So this one, just there like that. So it just hugs the sentiment and around the edge. There we go. It's quite special in itself, actually. It wouldn't be a bad card if you left it at that. It's quite lovely. So, but we can do better. Okay, so we've got all these little ones. So what I thought I'd like to do is actually have it look like these flowers actually continue up this way a little bit, so it doesn't stop here. This is the end of its stem here. I want to actually cover that over so it looks like the flowers continue up and around to a certain amount, sort of up here with their leaves covering in. And I thought, well, I better put something up here, it's going to look a bit funny. There. As I say, this was all in my head, so we'll see how it goes in real life. Let's do something like that. And we've got a little bit of a gap here where you can see the edge, so I thought we'd put a leaf sort of coming in that way, and maybe one coming up there. So what do we think? Okay. Cool. So you see what I'm trying to get at there. So we've got sort of like a spray of flowers going all the way around the bottom and curling under. So I might just bring in my dimensionals. Going through a fair few of these with this current little project. I'm just going to pop a single dimensional on the back of each of those little blossoms, and while I know where I want them, I'll put them straight back. There we go. It sounds like my dog's decided that it's dinner time, so I'll finish up here and go and feed her. Go. And one more. No, not a good spot. It's covering over my words. Come over a little bit. Okay, so now we'll pop these leaves in. I won't put the leaves on dimensionals, I'll just put them with glue, just so they can fit in. Just go straight to the card. There we are. Sorry, not much to say here. Just concentrating on the positioning of these. There should be another one. Where'd that go to? Yeah, there it is. There we go. Okay, so there we are. We've got some additional little detail, some additional little blossoms there, just to give it some interest. It's quite sweet, I think. What I might also do, let me have a think. I think it needs a little bit of bling. What do you think? A little bit of bling? So I might bring in my Wink of Stella, which is everyone's go-to for bling, and I'll just add some sparkle to these flowers. Which is probably going to be too subtle for you to see with the camera, but you will see it in the light when you, if you were looking at the card in person, you would see the sparkle there. Maybe a little bit on these ones as well. Okay, let's see if you can see that. Yeah, it's a lovely subtle sort of sparkle there. Okay, I really like that. That's really nice. Quite proud of that. So you can think about a card and see it come to life, even if you're just playing around. Okay, so that is my card number 5 in this series of 7 cards in 7 days for International Happiness Day. As I've said on previous videos, if you'd like to leave me a little comment in below the video, tell me where you're from, and tell me if you'd like to be in the draw to receive all 7 cards at the end of the week on Happiness Day on the 20th of March. So this is obviously 2020, so if you're watching past the 20th of March 2020, the draw will be closed, of course, but hopefully you've enjoyed them. So I've got, this is day number 5. I've got tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, and then the final one on Friday the 20th at the same time. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you give it a go, and join me again tomorrow.